Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Travis Van Winkle about You. The recent season just dropped on Netflix. We're talking about a lot of other things as well. Welcome to the show, man. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Pete. Can I call you Pete?
Of course you can call me Pete. Of course you can. You can call me Pete, PD Beats. It's funny because some people have always said like PD. A lot of people called me just Beats, which is pretty amazing.
Or PB.
Yeah, exactly. You could do
PB and jelly.
Yeah, whatever you want, man. It's pretty crazy because, you know, I was starting to tell you this before we started. I remember when it was like announced that you were joining the cast of You. Like they had the big announcement, the big article and everything. And I'm just curious, what's your mindset when you're joining as like a new character on a show that's already established and has an amazing fan base already? Like what's your mindset coming in to a show already established like that, man?
Mindset is all in.
Yeah.
All in, because there's a fan base built in. Audiences just, they were hungry for the next season. So for me, my mindset was put everything I can into this role. I mean, number one, the writing was so good for my character and the character development, and all of it was just so much fun to begin with. But my approach was, I'm not going to coast with this role. I'm going to invest everything I can and hit this from every angle, because it's going to be seen by a lot of people.
It's a very interesting character. I'm sure just a fun character to play. Did you know was gonna be that fun, that much fun? Because it's different when you read the scripts and then you go in and actually do it, right? That's
so. I had a lot of conversations with the showrunner Sarah Gamble, and I had an idea of the amount of ridiculousness that my character was going to have, but It's always different when you get on set and you play. I mean, the preparation's one thing, and you prepare as hard as you can, and you get as specific as you can, and you cast as far as wide of a net as you can when you prepare, and then when you get to set, you play. And so there was a lot of discovery on set. And one of the notes that I was given in episode 5, which was the woods episode, I take all the men out to the woods. The director, she's also the executive producer, she says, "Hey, you're never going to believe this, but can you go bigger?" And so she wanted me just to like really embody this guy. And that was the note that I needed to just go. So there was no ceiling for this guy. And I really got to explore a certain level of madness with him, which was a lot of fun.
100%. And it's interesting too, because you've worked on some pretty amazing projects in the past, a lot of big scale projects. Can you even prepare yourself in terms of like the fact that this show just kind of instantly drops, all the episodes are available, and all these countries get a chance to see it like right away? Like, can you even prepare yourself for something at that magnitude? Like, it's pretty crazy with Netflix's reach and everything.
Their global reach is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And to be a part of a show that just has that kind of reach and people care about it in 26 countries or however many countries Netflix plays You in. It was number one for quite a while in most countries, which is really... I just feel really happy that I was a small part of this season, and a lot of people responded really well to it. So I'm happy that they loved our season.
Is the global component of content these days what makes it big scale? You look at, you worked on a Friday the 13th movie. You worked on Transformers. Those are big scale. Those are big budget movies. Those are exciting, big scale and everything. Now you look at the days of Netflix and content and streaming, the fact that it's so global, the fact that so many more people could know who Travis Van Winkle is because they see him in You. Is that what makes it big scale these days? Like the actual reach?
No, I don't. I mean, personally, that's not the mindset that I have. The mindset I always have is the character work, is the actual work, is fusing myself with this character's life and actions and behavior and thoughts, and remaining the center of all that, but really using my imagination and using personal experiences and just really throwing everything I can to connect with this particular role. Everything else that comes with it is just, cherry on top.
It's like bonus. It's gravy on the mashed potatoes, I like to say.
I just want to work. I just want to work. I want to play great roles. I want to challenge myself, and This was a role that really challenged me, while at the same time felt I instinctively I knew this guy, and so it's there's a lot of layers that I could find with Carrie Conrad. I had a blast filming this season. This season was nuts.
It was, and did it all happen so quickly? You did the press junkets, you did a lot of interviews and everything. Did the whole process from being announced for the role and actually like kind of shoot like did it all feel like so quick? Did it feel slower? Like what was that whole kind of experience like for you?
It took a whole year. So I got announced to be on the show October 15th of 2020, and it didn't drop until October 15th of 2021. So it was like literally a year. And it doesn't always feel like a fast process. Also, we were in the middle of COVID. So time is just a weird thing to even conceptualize at this point. But I will tell you, once we finished the end of April, when we wrapped, I was so excited just to get this thing out there. And the process of waiting all the way till October, there were some long fucking days.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I talked to you about this before. You were in one of my favorite movies of all time. Like if I had a list of like top 10 movies, you play a role in one of my favorite movies of all time.
So you are the age where I think you're talking about Accepted.
You are correct, Mr. Hoyt Ambrose.
Yes. Pambrose.
our names rhyme. Isn't that weird? I don't know. I can't tell you how many times I've watched that movie. Like I just enjoy it so much. So it's funny because, like we were connected by, shout out to Mojuri Lamour from Ted Lasso, plays Terry Zorro. We were connected by him. And, of course, like a lot of people were watching you. You had a great character on that show. I mean, for me, it was just like, man, he's an Accepted.
That was my first big role in Los Angeles.
Wow.
That was 2005. And that was my first studio picture. And it was exciting. I remember the place where I was when I got the call that said, told me that I booked it. I remember quitting my restaurant job. I remember just thinking this is a whole new direction for me. And I'd only been in LA for about 2 years. And it was a sign for me, not only because the title of the film was called Accepted, but it was a sign for me, hey, you're going in the right direction. And to be paired up with Tom Shadyac and Steve Pink, they were the minds behind this. And Justin Long, Jonah Hill, Blake Lively, they're just really amazing, funny people. Kellen Lutz was in that. I mean, there was a ton of amazing people in that film, and they're all doing incredible things.
So this is the nerd in me. Like I said, one of my favorite movies of all time. So we're kind of going into it a lot more than maybe you expected. But the scene with Justin Long, where you're asking who the leaseholder is, right? And he's eating the brownie and everything. I'm just curious, is there anything you can tell me about that scene? Because he's hilarious in that scene. Like, was that hard to film? Were you laughing a little bit? Like, I'm just curious. Anything you can tell me about that scene with Justin Long?
For me, well, Justin Long, number one, just to work with Justin Long, he's such a pro.
Yeah.
I learned so much about how to improv and come with a bunch of choices on set. Him and Jonah would just have an arsenal of choices that they would just off the cuff just throw out. And so every take was fun to watch, and it was always different. And so I feel like that was a big education for me to work with those guys. But I don't remember particularly that scene. I remember.
You're like, can you tell me where the leaseholder is? And he's like, yeah, I could tell you. And you're like, are you going to tell me? He's like, no, I'm not going to tell you. That whole scene was always one of my favorites.
No, I was the one setting up the comedy in that movie, which is still part of the comedy, but I was definitely the one that was soft tossing them some fun moments.
And then I remember I know Transformers was pretty similar. Like, am I right saying that like that was afterwards, but it wasn't that much afterwards, like time wise?
Yeah, I filmed that. That was 2 years later.
Okay. And then when was Friday the 13th?
Friday the 13th was a year after Transformers.
Okay. So, because it was funny because I remember like we were big fans of Accepted, and then, we recognized you in Transformers. Oh, Accepted, Hoyt Ambrose, the same thing happened. Like, you don't really think about those things. I mean, you're going there, you're working with amazing people, but I'm sure, like, do you have a lot of people like me, like, bring up Accepted? Like, does that come up at all?
The funny thing is, PB&J, I get a lot of Accepted shout outs when I shave. So when I shave my face, more people recognize me, and I definitely get some attention with that. But usually with the beard, I don't get it as much. But I will say that's probably the thing that I get recognized most for.
Yeah. I just want to, if I ever like bump into you in person, I'm just going to come up to you and be like, hey, winner, welcome to Rush. Oh man, no, that's great.
I'm so glad. I'm happy that you enjoyed that film and it lives in you somewhere.
It could be. I mean, at one point, I'm in Canada. At one point, it was on Netflix Canada, and it was just like that was one. Those movies, Travis, like that you just can watch over and over again. Like I have a bunch of them, right? Like classics, like Uncle Buck is another one. Like I have these movies that I can just put on like over and over.
One of mine is Apocalypto.
Yes,
have you seen the Mel Gibson directed film? It's incredible. I've watched that film like 60 times. I don't know what it is. It's just like the primal nature of what they captured and humanity before it became civilized. It's just so fascinating to me.
There's a lot of those. I mean, at one point I was watching Constantine with Keanu Reeves over and over again, like all the time. Like there's a lot of these movies. So I get the Apocalypse, but there's these movies where you're not sure why, but they just happen all the time.
Yeah, they touch somewhere in you, and it really connects.
Absolutely. Travis Van Winkle's a storyteller. That's what you do. Whether people act, write, direct like that, you're all storytellers. What excites you about storytelling specifically?
What excites me about storytelling?
Yeah.
I think for me, it's the adventure of all of it. Every story's got a different adventure. Every story has a whole new emotional experience, a whole new slew of relationships, and just this whole arc of experience. And I think for me, it's just the adventure. I really love the adventure of stories. That's why there's movies like Willow. I've watched Willow 100 times. And that's like the most adventure-based movie of all time. I think also what I love about storytelling is that we have endless stories inside of each of us that we get to share, and to have a platform to share that and a way to express myself in that way. I think that there's a lot of gratification in being able to share parts of myself that are received, and that other people have an experience with that means something to them. That means a lot to me, to be able to have that connection that sometimes I don't even know exists.
And to kind of add to that a little bit too, I like that you like how you said that about diving into worlds and everything. I mean, we talked about, you've been in some Christmas movies. We talked Friday the 13th, like horror, like you've been able to work on a lot of amazing different projects as well. Obviously, Travis Van Winkle goes where the opportunities are and everything, but like, it's pretty cool to look back that you have been able to work on a variety of different projects as well, man.
Yeah, I think it's always nice to have that reminder.
Yep.
I've been doing this now for almost 19 years.
Wow.
So my whole adult life has been dedicated to performing and to acting and to really understanding what the hell it is and how to do it. And so all these opportunities have come along the way that have helped shape me and teach me about myself, have helped me connect to audiences around the world, have helped allow me to provide a living for myself, travel all over. I feel like I feel pretty lucky to be in this kind of profession.
Yeah,
because I don't know what the hell's next, and that's exciting. I think to some people that might be terrifying, but for me, I'm like, ooh, what's that next thing? What's that next character I'm really going to get to dive into and learn something from or share myself with?
Is that the mindset? Like, I'm curious because I guess it depends on the projects and everything, but maybe if you're playing a character that's really emotional, maybe you need a break or anything, but does it depend, like after you wrap and like you're done with a project, is your mindset like, let's go to the next one? Or does it depend on the project? Sometimes maybe you need a break. Like, does it depend on the project or is it always, let's go?
It does. You know, I think each project you have to give away a piece of yourself to it. And I think a lot of times after I wrap, I like to go on a mini vacation.
Yep.
Whether that's 5 days in Banff. I just wrapped the film and I went to Banff in Alberta for 5 days and had the most incredible time, and I decompressed. So for me, there's always a decompression time that I think I really crave.
Yeah.
Yet going into the next thing immediately is also the machine is oiled. You know, it's nice to just have quick turnover and on to the next. I think there's benefits to both.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm really happy we were able to talk about Accepted. Like, I know we want to talk about you. That's a recent project, but
yeah, what we talk about.
Is there anything specifically that, you haven't accomplished yet in the entertainment industry, whether, you know, maybe going behind the camera or like a different role that you haven't had a chance to play yet? Like, is there any goals in mind going into 2022 maybe for you?
Yeah, I would love. I have some ideas for some films and shows. I'd love to be in the creative process and really steering the ship creatively on some things. I'd love to create some roles for myself, which those opportunities that I'm talking about are all great vehicles for me and roles that I'd be excited to play.
Yeah.
I've always been fond of writing, and so just really, I want to begin utilizing that element of my creativity. It's always, I don't know if you've ever taken time to sit down and write, but the process of doing it, there's just something magical that happens when you start writing. Ideas just start churning out of you. Things come out of the darkest corners of you that you didn't realize were sitting inside of your head, and you just release. And to me, it's incredibly therapeutic. So I think for me going into 2022, I want to really manifest taking some of my ideas and then really putting them into motion.
Yeah.
And then there's many roles that I would love to get out there and play. I would love to do more period pieces. I'd love to dive into some deeper comedies. I'm pretty much open to do whatever.
What about a Hoyt Ambrose origin story?
Could you imagine? No.
No, that would be although you were great in that role, that character is kind of the worst, right? So like, what would that movie be like?
Yeah, but see, in his head, he's not the worst.
Yeah.
He was protecting the sanctity of that school and that program. He was wanting to make sure people followed the rules. So he just had a strong conviction of doing what was right in his mind.
And it was mean to Jonah Hill, and
he was really rude in the process because he's insecure.
Yeah.
You know, he was still figuring out who he was. And sometimes in the process you end up projecting a lot of your
and then like you go to Transformers and like that, like a little bit of a similar character, but that one, like in that movie, like you don't waste time to be a jerk. Like you're a jerk, like rapid fire with Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, that guy was just an arrogant jerk.
Yeah,
that's who that was.
It's different, but it's amazing. Travis, thank you so much for coming on Popternative, man. It was great chatting with you.
Pete, I've had a pleasure, man. I've had a blast. So I, first of all, want to thank you for reaching out to me, because anytime I can talk about anything that I've done in the past that's connected, you know, I'm so proud that that's actually connected and stayed with you. So for me, thank you for bringing that. That's a gift.
Dude, I listened to, because there was a band too, like, so in The Accepted, there was a band called The Ringers, right? That play at the party. And I listened to that song from time to time. Like, dude, I love this movie. Like, there's that wicked like party, right? That you guys crash. Like they do like a whole, there's a band and everything at the school.
Yeah. I feel like I need to get you some Accepted swag. I don't have any of myself, but I need to like find out where I can get some, because I feel like you'd rock that.
Oh, I would rock that all the time. And so people can catch you in the latest season of You on Netflix if they haven't watched it. And if they watch it again, they could rewatch it, right? If they've watched it already, they could do like You and Apocalypto. They could just rewatch it.
Oh, dive in. It's a fun ride.
And where can people follow you on social media to keep up to date with everything?
So Travis Van Winkle is on Instagram, TV Dub, D-U-B on Twitter. And then I don't even know what the hell I am on TikTok. I'm trying to get my name back. Someone stole my name. So I'm in the process of getting that back.
Amazing. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Travis Van Winkle and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.